Welcome to the final chapter of Gundam 0080 War in the Pocket, which kicks off with Bernie trying to fix his broken mobile suit from Part 1 thanks to this whatever the hell it is, some kind of laptop stereo receiver combo. It allows him to talk to Al on his high-tech walkie-talkie. It's so powerful, he can hear him from a good 20 feet away, and it's small enough to fit in a single suitcase. So, what's the plan?
We need three things: tools, certain parts for the Zaku, and some weapons.
Oh, sure. Give me a second while I pull that out of my ass. But Bernie says getting parts for a giant robot belonging to a country expelled from this colony won't be a problem. There's all kind of remnants of mobile suits lying around from the fights, he says, and naturally they're just sitting there with a sign on them saying, "Help yourself." As far as weapons go, F that. I have sunglasses. That's all the firepower I need. No, there's still a couple weapons trailers left over from the real mission that ended horribly. A mission I really should have pointed out when I was listing all of its failings last time, that it went south because Bernie screwed up. Meaning that this is now in the hands of the guy whose mistake killed everyone with actual experience doing this. Side 6 is so dead. On the other hand, there's always Al, who figures out how to get past the guards to steal the truck by pretending that he's mad with grief over the death of his dad and blames the feds for it, knowing that soldiers have no idea what to do with a crying child, and they've already had enough of a reputation problem if even the cops are hassling their war heroes. Anyway, thanks to that, they get some good weapons to use, so it's time to get a new car to... You know, I've gone 5 parts and I have not dropped a single F-bomb, only for the cartoon to scrawl it on the wall of this alley. If only I'd known. Anyway, Bernie has an idea. Rental balloons. And luckily, he has a coupon. And it's usable at all their locations. So after Bernie lays out the plan, it's time for the montage using the show's theme tune, which I suppose now is a good time to bring it up. I don't like it.
Can't you see that you are sweet? Oh, let me love you so.
Perhaps it's supposed to be about the Tattletale girl's unrequited love for Al. But personally, this piece just doesn't work for me. It just feels bland. Anyway, with the montage complete, it looks like they're all ready for the big battle, but Al will be left out of it just because he has no training or combat skills whatsoever. But Bernie leaves a package and a disc with instructions in case, for some crazy reason, as if he might actually fail with his tin can patched mobile suit against a prototype giant robot.
You mean you really might get killed?
It's just in case, Al. You never know.
Yeah, just totally hedging our bets here. But of course, Bernie knows his odds. This is about the last fledgling childhood romanticism of warfare here. Al knows Bernie just needs to win this to save the day. So he'll win because the day will be saved, because if he didn't, it'd be wrong. I mean, if he died for nothing and the colony was wiped out, that just doesn't work that way. The idea that in war people, real people, suffer and die is hard enough for Al to handle. The idea that it can happen and be utterly pointless and unstoppable, which is another harsh reality of war, it's just something he can't take right now. So he says a prayer for God to protect Bernie in this coming battle, even though God's probably going, "Oh boy, can't I just alter Avogadro's number or something simple like that? Or to let you see boobs like all the other boys your age are asking me?" Well, great news! Al's father arrives with the story of a battle that he witnessed, and the ship with the nukes on board was forced to surrender, so they're not going to die! Except, of course, for Bernie, he's got less of a chance than an unopened bottle around Mikhail. But he has to try, so he charges the base, giving them no choice but to send out the Gundam with Chris piloting it. Against orders, she follows him into the woods where the trap is sprung. And the media claims there's no war on Christmas. Pah! During the distraction, Bernie ambushes her with an axe, and it's an intense struggle while Al tries to get them to stop fighting, since it's not necessary anymore. But in the end, Bernie's mobile suit explodes. He probably should have fixed it with more than a soup can. But not before decapitating the Gundam, and this seriously injures Chris. Al is traumatized, seeing Bernie killed and Chris hauled away on a stretcher, and in the end, none of it was needed. So we see what was on the disc, instructions on bringing all the info necessary to show what happened and why this colony would be threatened with nukes in the hopes that it could be averted. And also some pep stuff for Al about not hating the Federation or the pilot who would kill Bernie or anything like that. This is about him not running away. Not hate, not duty, anything like that. So Al tries to go back to his life.
And it's absolutely beautiful out today. Like God blessing the first day back to school.
Yes, I couldn't help Bernie, but I hope you'll take this sunny day as a consolation prize. On the way, his day continues to get worse as Chris shows up to say goodbye. She's being shipped out again. But at the very least, there's supposed to be peace now, so that's good. So Al heads off to join everyone else outside the wreckage of school.
Yes, we have lost our school building, yet buildings can be rebuilt. More importantly, we've lost countless parents, brothers, sisters, and friends.
But they can be recloned! But Al is unable to contain himself and starts crying, and only the tattletale can see that he needs help. His friends all think it's just disappointment about the war being over, still locked in the child's view of war, rather than seeing war through the eyes of a child like Al has. This chapter draws the series to a close very well, with Bernie having learned firsthand most of the important things associated with war, people he's met dying, good friends dying, the innocent dying, the destruction of property on a large scale, and perhaps most importantly, that it can all be for nothing. Bernie died, and it didn't matter in the grand scheme of things. The Gundam was damaged, but not destroyed. And the war is over, and the threat to the colony would have been stopped either way. The only thing in all of it that mattered was the relationship that he and Al forged, and the battle he fought because he needed to do it for himself. Bernie wasn't a hero. No one amongst the Zeon will care what happened. It made no difference in the war. His body was unidentifiable. The mark he left was only on a kid who annoyed him to no end. War in the Pocket is based on the philosophy of a single death being a tragedy, a million deaths a statistic. One soldier, one unremarkable soldier, and the story of his pointless end on a futile mission in the closing days of a war. A story largely devoid of anything you might expect from such a tale. Honor, glory. Bernie spent most of his time looking like an ass and being a babysitter. But what he did that was important was what Chris had told Al in Part 5. He remained true to what he thought was right, which was fighting to save a colony that would see him as the enemy. And not because he needed to do it to save others, because as he explains to Al in the video, he could have gone to the authorities and had better luck than this. It was because he wanted to be more than a coward or a loser. Part of why he hung around with Al was probably because in the kid's eyes, he could be the hero that he wished he could be. And with all delusions cast aside after the mission failed, he chose to try to be that person, or to die in the effort. In a way, Al's view of war had now become his own. The dreams the young have of being a hero when the veteran of battles knows it's much grimmer than that. Bernie did not share Al's naivete about war, of its cost, and how much of that cost isn't even needed. But that part lived again in him. Yet still, with that knowledge he'd acquired so that, when the time came, he fought in the woods, where no one else could get hurt and no property damaged. He did what he needed to do, but without jeopardizing others in the process, to make sure that there were no more victims who would suffer for something that would mean nothing. Overall, the story was quite enjoyable, and I am certainly looking forward to getting to the films when the time comes. The small, focused tale served as a fine intro to the franchise for me, one that I'm betting I'll be able to see in a larger sense when the time comes. I should also mention that I watched the subtitled version of this first, and then I watched the dubbed version. In this case, I didn't notice any deficiency in the dubbing side of the Schwarzenegger guy, so it's also pretty accessible as well. If you are interested in dipping your toes into this like I did, Gundam 0080 was a good place to start that. A small, focused story with a mature subtext to it.
You know another war will start soon, and when they close the school, we'll be able to check out all the cool stuff. It'll be more fun than this time.